Wow, welcome to another yet impactful edition of the program, The Law, the People, and Governance here on Spectrum Television. It's a beautiful, beautiful Wednesday evening while we're talking about something that concerns the people, the law, and of course, the government as well, because the government cannot exist without the people and, of course, cannot govern the people without making laws. Incidentally, the Nigerian political clock has had its full orbit, and we are again on the cusp of another general election. The question is, what does this mean for the judiciary? So we're taking a look at something close to the judiciary today. In the interval between the last general election and the imminent 2023 polls, the Electoral Act, a major legislation at the heart of Nigeria's electoral jurisprudence, has been amended with some radical innovations, some of which have not received juridical introspection. Now, whereas it was thought that the amendment to the Act would reduce the incidence of political cases, given the level of transparency and accountability structures introduced in the pre- and post-electoral processes, and the experience from the concluded primary elections across the 18 political parties, registered that. Now, we're going to look at something really strong today. Let's start by, getting to the recent judgment of the Supreme Court that upheld the candidacy of the Senate President, and all of this are the things that we are going to look at on today's program. And we'll be joined by a guest, a barrister, a human rights lawyer who's here to talk to us on these issues. Well, stay close as we take a look at 2023 elections, the place of the judiciary. We'll be right back.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by gross level. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Ibro.
He did not.
My lord, the matters counsel is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is
my lord.
this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Every day, we bring you up-to-date information on topical issues affecting the common Nigerian, from issues on politics,
Hello, Nigeria. I remain committed.
security, education, health, lifestyle, and so much more. Join Janice Kobum and Uyai Aniakin every weekday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Rise and Shine Daily, exclusive on Spectrum Television.
All right, welcome back. It's for the program, the law, the governance, and of course the people. The program that exists to bridge the gap between the people and the government. Well, our guest is in the house in the person of Barrister Martins. Thank you for joining us, Barrister.
Thank you very much.
All right, so Barrister Martins is a human rights lawyer. Thanks once again for joining us. All right, so let's start by getting your take on the recent judgment of the Supreme Court that upheld the candidacy of the Senate President Ahmed Lawan as the APC Yobe North senatorial candidate. Now, it was a ruling that pitched 3 of the 5-man panel of justices against 2. Now, do you feel that that judgment was compromised?
Thank you very much. I would take a leap from an American lawyer, a jurist by name Oliver Wendell Holmes, who says that law is nothing but the prophecies of the court. What the court will say and what the court will do. And in that instance, applying that to the recent judgment given by the Apex Court in regards to upholding Ahmed Lawan as the authentic candidate of Yobe North Senatorial District, I will say, as a lawyer, that law, in this case, is nothing but what the Supreme Court has said and what the Supreme Court has done. I wouldn't say that the court has compromised the judgment. But in all sincerity, I think the court hasn't done enough justice to that case.
Judgment, okay.
That judgment, to me, is not equity. It's not justice. It's not fair. But it is law. Because, like I said, Wendell Holmes said that law is nothing but what the court will say and do, and nothing pretentious. In this case, we have a dissenting judgment by 2 justices of the Supreme Court. Let me apply this to what happened in Imo State, where the Apex Court ousted the then governor, Emeka Hidioha, and replaced with someone who came 4th in the elections, who happens to be the incumbent governor. Let me also apply the scenario where we had the Apex Court ousting a yet-to-be-sworn-in governor-elect of Bayelsa State, Dr. David Leon, and replacing with the incumbent. For me, I keep criticizing those 2 judgments. I keep saying that the Supreme Court had no rationale, no reasonable basis to deliver those judgments. It is law, but it is not justice. Law is not justice. It is one thing for the court to give judgment. It is another thing for the court to give justice. In this case, I haven't seen justice in denying Machina of his right to stand for Yobe North senatorial elections.
Let's take a look at, you said something, you said that's not justice to you, you feel it wasn't right, it wasn't equity, but you've mentioned some cases. There are similarities on this case to that of Senator Godswill Akpabio, also of the APC in Akwa Ibom. The dubiousness of this judgment have had an alarming effect on people's confidence in the judiciary. Now, should Nigerians be worried? I mean, coming from a lawyer who says, who's coming from the court and knows better, says this is not justice, this is not equity. Should Nigerians be worried?
A few weeks ago, I was live on Premium FM. I said this, that in this country, the last thing that is remaining for us as citizens is the judiciary.
The hope of the
common
man.
You know why it is called the hope of the common man? Because it is the last resort. It is the judiciary that seemingly remains as an institution,
our last resort,
that protects the last fabric of our democracy. Where the judiciary is impunged, then there is no hope again. Because there is executive rascality, we have seen it, there is legislative rascality, and now, I don't know if that is where we are being plunged into, where we are headed for judicial rascality. If the very fabric of our democracy is destroyed, then we are heading for a state of anarchy. There is no hope, because the recent judgment delivered by the Apex Court is very ridiculous to even the judiciary. It's ridiculous to us at the bar, and even to some of them at the bench. The Supreme Court before now used to be the last hope. If justice wasn't done at the trial courts, you appeal to the appeal court, and justice couldn't still be served, then there was always hope that when you run to the Apex Court, when you kneel before the Apex Court, that the Apex Court will look at the substance of your case without sentiment, with a just mind, and deliver justice the way it's supposed to be. But today, I cannot say that that is obtainable at the Apex Court again. The Supreme Court has given us reasons to doubt their judgment of recent. And it is very, very bad. I hope that the NBA will rise to this occasion. I believe that the National Judicial Council, I hope that the body of benchers, which is the highest body in the legal profession, would rise to this occasion, because nobody is above the law. Nobody is above the law. A one-time Attorney General of the Federation from Benue State was derobed. I'm trying to recall his name. He was derobed after serving the nation as Attorney General because of misgiving, because of infractions. So even the justices of the Supreme Court, they are not above the law. Yes. So the NJC, the body of benchers, should question the infractions of these justices. It is not all like you had it in that Yobe Central case. Two justices gave dissenting judgments. They said, no, we cannot agree with you. And in recent cases, we have seen whereby two justices will sit down and agree, and you see one saying no. That means if three cannot have a unanimous agreement, there is something wrong somewhere. Why are we having two justices of the Supreme Court saying no, and why are we having three saying yes? And before the Machina case come on board, Nigerians of all walks of life have studied this case. We know that Senator Amalawan never contested any election. There was no basis to deliver that judgment in his favor. But the Supreme Court just want to marvel Nigerians and deliver it in his favor. And that's where we are. I pray we should not get to that level. That state of anarchy where Thomas Hope talked about the state of nature, where life was short, nasty, and brutish. Man's inhumanity to man was the order of the day. Because in this country, if they finally destroy the very fabric of our democracy, the protector of our democracy, that means everybody will take to arms. Everybody will resort to self-help, and it will spell them for the country. I rest my case.
Okay, we're not in the courts actually, but I like the part you say you rest your case. All right, so you've talked about the courts being the last hope of the people, the judiciary actually. And then we've also had elections. Yeah, I like talking about this. We've had elections. Nigeria has actually had elections over and over and over again. Yeah, and then this year, INEC had put things in place in such a way that we never thought it would be bypassed. We never thought we'd have issues of having to go to court. Now, if INEC has put things in place, setting things right, why do we always have to go to court, run to court after elections? And I also like to talk about the case between Oyetola and also Adeleke as well, where the court suddenly declares in favor of Oyetola.
Thank you very much. First, let me address the issue of going to court after maybe parties' primaries. We call it pre-election matters in the court. You, as a citizen of Nigeria, you always have that right of audience in the court. You have the right to be heard whenever you feel that your rights have been impinged upon, have been infringed by an individual, an institution, be it corporate or that of the government. You can approach the court and seek for redress, whereby political parties do not follow the laid down rules. In this case, the Electoral Act 2022 is the Bible of political parties for them to use and conduct their political party primaries, whereby the requirement of the law, the provisions of the act, are not duly and stricto sensu followed. The law is not ambiguous. The law is straight. You are to follow the provisions of that act in its stricto sense.
Okay, just before you conclude, can you go a bit into the Electoral Act?
Okay, thank you very much. Section 84 of the Act talks about those who are qualified to vote. Just as we have a court judgment delivered by a federal high court a few weeks ago in a Kwabum here, declaring the member representing your federal constituency as the authentic candidate of the People's Democratic Party, gubernatorial candidate. But the Act says that those who are to vote in party primaries must be elected by the congressmen and women. In that case, the purported candidates went and used statutory delegates, which have been barred, which it has been barred by the Act. You do not have the right to vote, and conducted an election, and thereafter ran to the court and asked the court, please declare me as a candidate. And the court declared him. If you do not follow the Act, you have the right, if you were a contestant, to approach the courtroom and tell the court your problem and say, please, I was the winner, or I was cheated, please address this issue for me. In that case, the court has the right to entertain that matter. But in entertaining that matter, the court also have it bounds. The court is bounded by the framework of the law. The court does not have to go outside the framework of the law to declaring people as candidates, left and right, just as we are seeing. That's all I can say for that. Now let me talk about the Osun State Election Tribunal.
Go ahead, yes.
Good. The Independent National Electoral Commission had last year declared Senator Ademola Adeleke as the duly elected governor of
Osun
State,
yeah,
and was returned. Like I said, it was the right of those who contested the election to approach the court if they felt they have been cheated, if they felt the election was not conducted in accordance with the law, if they felt they won the election and their vote were not counted, if they felt they had upper hands than the one that was declared in the election. In that same tribunal, constituted by 3 members, we saw one of members of the panel giving a dissenting judgment. We saw one who said the then governor, Oyetola, won the election. And we saw one member of the panel saying, thank you, members of the press for coming. And what is that? And what is that? Do you know why a panel is constituted in odd numbers? Because sometimes they may have to vote. That's why you can never have a 4-man panel. You can never have a 6-man panel. You have a panel in odd numbers. Is that how you have 3, you have 5, you have 7. Complete panel. So that you can have a majority. But in this case, I do not think we had a majority in the decision of that tribunal. You just saw one person upholding the election of Adeleke, who gave dissenting judgment. He actually, because giving a dissenting judgment, he actually upheld the election of Adeleke. You saw the other one saying no, Oyetola won. And you saw the other one thanking members of the press.
But I thought they were supposed to, agree and say one thing.
No, they are not bound to agree.
All right, so this is just to remind us that this program is participatory. You can actually join us. The phone number displayed on the screen. Send a comment to our WhatsApp or call us directly. Let's talk on this issue. We're taking a look at 2023 election, the place of the judiciary in the forthcoming polls. It's just 16 days to the polls, so what do we think? Already we've seen the case of Ahmed Lawan, we've seen the case of Godswill Akpabio, we've seen the case of Deleke and Oyetola, and it all boils down to court. The judiciary has a very strong role to play. All right, so we'll go on a short break. When we come back, the show continues. Stay tuned.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by gross level. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the matters council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is
my lord.
this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
All right, welcome back. It's still the program, The Law, the People, and Governance here on Spectrum TV. And I am your host, Rachel David White. Today we're being joined by a barrister, a human rights lawyer, and he's here to talk about the place of the judiciary in the forthcoming elections. Well, we've been talking so far, and he's said a lot of great things. Well, just another question. Now, political observers say the disparity in court rulings these days may hamper the successes of Electoral Act and may also likely record at the polls. Now, do you agree with this assertion?
Certainly yes. Certainly yes. Yeah, I agree with that assertion because we have seen in the past where people are elected, officials are elected by the people. Let us not forget that it is the people that have the ultimate right to vote whoever they want.
But it's not the people that have the right to say.
But now, what we are seeing is that we have more of judicial public officials. Okay. What do I mean by that? People now occupying public offices through the
court ruling.
Yes. We have governors who are governors today from the courts. I don't think some of them were actually elected. We have senators who went to court, maneuvered their way from the courtroom and get to the National Assembly, the hollow chambers. We have people in different places remaining in that position of authority from the courtroom. For me, I think that the drafters of the 2022 Electoral Act didn't do a thorough work. Because they couldn't do a thorough work, that is why you see what you are seeing. The courts are now becoming the people. The courts are now electing the people. Meanwhile, it is the electorate.
Let's pause and take a call. Let's get a contribution. Okay. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm calling from Ogun State.
All right, you're calling from Ogun State, right?
Yes.
All right, sorry, good evening. Go ahead and say what you wanted. What's your name first?
I'm Suloni Boilias, calling from Ogun State.
Okay, go ahead and let's get your contribution.
Please, I want to ask the barrister.
Go ahead. He's listening.
What does the INEC chairman said in the issue of PPS regarding the Osun election?
Okay, could you recap that question, sir?
I said, what does the INEC officials says about the BPN concerning Osho election on overvoting?
The Beavers?
Hello?
Yeah, he's got your question. He's going to reply to that right now.
Your question?
Go ahead.
Okay, all right. Yes, the panel actually came up with their decision, reaching that decision on the side of overvoting, claiming that there were overvotings in the election. All right, where they were overvoting, methinks that the votes wouldn't have been deducted from the winner. Instead, the overvoting, how did the panel failed, because I read their judgment, failed to show to Nigerians or to Osun people that the overvoting that took place in those few polling units were all votes that was casted and counted for
Adeleke.
Senator Ademola Adeleke. That is exactly what happened in Imo State. The judgment that enthroned Hope Uzodinma was that in about 18 or 81 polling units, votes were cancelled by INEC. The Supreme Court put all the votes in those polling units together and gave it to who? Hope Uzodinma. My question is simple. How did the Supreme Court got to know that all the voting in those 18 local government that were cancelled, all the votes that were cancelled, would have probably been that of Hope Uzodinma? Isn't it possible that the vote would have been shared between all the contestants in the election? You know, soon you are talking about overvoting, and you are deducting votes from only one candidate, and you now counted votes that was even cancelled by INEC, according to the exhibit that have been tendered by INEC in Form E8. You now counted votes in that particular exhibit and gave it to the former governor, Oyetola, thereby reducing the vote of the person that was declared the winner, making it lesser than that of Oyetola. I don't know if the question that was asked by the caller, if I've clarified that question to his understanding.
All right, let's just take another call. Hello, good evening. Welcome to the show.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us on the show. Tell us your name and your location.
So, I'm Emmanuel from Edo State.
All right, Emmanuel, go ahead.
I'll ask a question concerning that election, please.
All right, please move away from your TV set, then you can ask your question.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
See, the question is, in that election,
Which of them?
that election that was cancelled.
Okay.
Cancelled by those judges, by 3-member judges. You looked at it very, very clearly, sir, as a lawyer, sir. What would be your take on that matter if taken to the appeal and possibly to the Supreme Court? Because electoral as amended 2022 states that the beneficiaries result will be deducted from the figures from the total vote based on what was presented there. What would be your take, sir, on the matter if taken to the appeal court or possibly the Supreme Court?
All right, thank you.
All right.
All right, before we go to that, let's just take another call so we can react on that. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Tell us your name and where you're calling from, and of course your contribution.
Hello, I'm Isaac by name.
Where are you calling from?
Calling from Akpaido.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, in terms of, let me just contribute the one of something about you.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
So that's my senatorial district. So we check in that issue because the Supreme Court, although the party for somebody is very well, even though they give the IT of police, that man we are not vote for that man. So the party is looking for God in the party, and that's what we're going to vote for. That is my take.
Okay, Isaac, that's your take. Okay. All right, so we're back here. You want to react to the first one before you take the second one?
All right. Thank you, my brother from Edo State that called in. In response to your question, first and foremost, as a lawyer, we do not preempt the court. I do not want to preempt the court. Any matter that is before the court is subjudicial. And as such, I cannot tell you what the appeal court will come out with or what the Supreme Court, what will be the position of the Supreme Court on appeal. But I can tell you that, yes, the law is right, that you cannot benefit from your crime. No, you cannot. But however, the panel, why I feel that that judgment will be upturned at the appellate court is because the tribunal hasn't done enough to show to us in their judgment that yes, it was actually Senator Ademola Adeleke who benefited from the overvoting. And there's never a time that only one person in an election of many persons have benefited from overvoting. Even when we're not using the newly signed Electoral Act. If, for example, this is Unit A, polling unit A, and this is polling unit B, and there is overvoting in this entire RA, you know what I mean by RA, regional area. It will affect almost all the polling units in that RA. And it will not only be to the favor of only one candidate. So if there is overvoting, the court or the panel should have looked at it thoroughly and also deduct from contestant A, contestant B, and all the candidates who stood the election, in as much as they have all garnered votes from those polling units. The panel have only succeeded in deducting votes from one party, the PDP, claiming that it was the PDP that benefited from the overvoting. Those are the lacunas. Those are the areas which will be looked into at the appellate court. Based on that note, already the PDP have gone on appeal. I am not going to talk more on that because it will amount to sub judice.
All right, so we'll go quickly to the second caller talking about Senator Godswill before we go into the next question.
Oh, Mr. Isaac,
yes,
my brother. I'm also from your senatorial district. So we are together in the same senatorial district. Actually, I did not really get his question. What was his question all about?
Okay, let's just take another call. I believe Mr. Isaac will call us back. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, madam. How are you?
Fine, thank you. What's your name and where are you calling from?
This is Issa calling from Bauchi State.
All right, Issa, go ahead with your comment.
Well done, Mr. Gabe. How is your work?
He's doing well.
My take is regarding this issue of the judgment for the Senate President.
Okay, I'm at the
And
line.
also, Mr. Godswill Fabio from your Akwa Ibom State.
Go ahead.
Actually, we are calling for the Supreme Court or our justices to be at least giving judgment that is in line with the common sense knowledge, or I don't know how to put it. Because as somebody who is not from the judicial background, actually there is no basis in which somebody who has not contested for the election would be announced the winner of that election. So we are calling for our brothers in that part of the government hierarchy to do their own best towards seeing we sanitize our political development or political issue in this country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Issa. All right, keep the calls coming. The number is on your screen, and of course, you can send your contribution through our WhatsApp page. We'll take your messages. All right, so this is to tell you, Mr. Isaac, that you could call back and ask your question. I'm sorry about that. Well, we're back to Barrister in the house. All right, so Barrister Martins, when President Buhari came to power, now the first 6 months of his administration, when he came into power, something actually happened. Now, it saw some sort of face-off between the executive and, of course, and the judiciary, with some top judges arrested by the DSS. Now, did that move suggest the judicial arm of government needed some sort of cleansing?
Very well. Though I was not in support of the mudsliding of the judiciary at the first instance. I was thinking that it was a war being waged against the judiciary by the executive arm of government. I recall when Justice Walter Unogen, the then Chief Justice of Nigeria, was thrown out of the office as the CJ. I felt bad, though he himself admitted to that infractions on his part for not giving for not making a standard declaration of assets in line with the law regarding the magnitude of office he is occupying. But I still felt it was a deliberate attempt to destabilize the integrity of the judiciary, to make the judiciary dance to the tune of the executive arm of government. But right now, I think my answer or my response would have been in the negative, because the way the judiciary is going, if they are left unchecked, we will see a situation in this country whereby somebody will cut another person's head and the person is taken to the court and the court will say, please, let him go home. He is not guilty.
Why do you say so?
Because just like the caller from Bauchi said, it is commonsensical that someone who did not satisfy the requirement of the provision of the act in contesting election to fly the flag of a party, political party in election, will be declared as the duly nominated person into that office. Even someone who hasn't looked into a law book before, even someone who hasn't entered the courtroom before, even someone who hasn't listened to a program like this that talks about the law, will simply know the ABCs when it has to do with that judgment. We are all aware that Senator Ahmad Lawan contested for we bought form for presidential primaries of the APC. Whether he also bought form for the Senate, for the Senate, and will engage that form to a placeholder. The law does not recognize placeholder. The Act does not recognize placeholder. Our ground norm, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, does not recognize a placeholder. It is only the placeholder that can come out and say, okay, I was made a placeholder. Please take what you gave to me to hold for you. But in a situation whereby Machina, who was in possession of the form, duly filled the form, completed the form, and returned same to INEC, and was cleared by INEC and his political party. to stand election into that office and was duly nominated and returned, and his name was first forwarded to INEC. The Senate president now came back and said, why would the APC should forward his name? He wielded enormous powers, and we saw it. But at some point, let me refer to public opinion now. At some point, Senator Ahmad Lawan had considered, when the Federal High Court, even the appeal court, gave judgment in favor of Machina, he had considered, he said he was not going to appeal. But I was shocked when I heard that Lawan has appealed.
So what do you think pushed him?
The powers that be. We know that the powers that be pushed him to go and appeal. Having promised him, we know how to do it. I am not accusing the court, but like I said earlier, I will never be, my conscience will not allow me to be in consonance with that judgment. Justice is given through the human conscience. But for now, we go with the law. That's what the law says.
All right, still, this is to remind you that this program is hitting up and it's coming to a close. Well, you can still call us and be a part of this program. Drop your comments and contribution through the phone number on the screen. Well, just before we go, Barrister, some people have posited that the delay in constitutional, review is the biggest challenge to a seamless electoral process. Now, what will it take to give the Electoral Act, sweeping, let's say a sweeping or just anything? What
all right.
will it take to give it that?
All right. Let me even address it from the background of reviewing our
just the
constitution.
sweeping powers to not be overturned, but especially, I don't know, when it concerns a mandate of the people. Let's just talk about the people right now.
All right. First, the Act is subject to the ground norm. That's the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Our Constitution has supremacy over all other laws. Now, the problem stems directly from our Constitution. Let me say this. We don't have a Constitution. We just have a write-up that was put together by the military government and handed to us. The problem we have is that of the Constitution. First, for you to have an overhaul of electoral laws that will be independent, you must first of all amend. For me, I don't even subscribe to amending our Constitution any longer. We have amended our Constitution in 2009, and we have also amended it in 2019. There is no need of amending our Constitution again. Nigeria needs a new autonomous constitution, homemade constitution that reflects our values, the essence of Nigerianism, that reflects our tradition, that reflects our people, that reflects our life. The constitution that we have now does not reflect what the life that Nigerians are passing through. That is why you have the difficulty, the economic hardship, the political tumults, the instability that we have, because we do not have a workable instrument that guides our daily life.
All right, so but how did you, dissect it to know all of this? Just...
Okay. Now, you were talking about...
How did you know that it's not suitable for Nigerians,
Very well, very well. We have been, over time, we have been clamoring for a true federalism. Our Constitution is a problem. Our Constitution cannot guarantee us true federalism.
Okay, now, can you define, true federalism to us as it concerns the Constitution?
All right, very well. Now,
in a very brief way, Because I have one last question just before we round up.
Thank you very much. True federalism has to do with allowing the people to control their resources. And a certain percentage will be taken out from here and given to the center. In 1960 to 1966, we had what seemingly reflected true federalism, whereby the state, the component unit, was stronger than the center. But now, we now have one central government that controls the resources of all other component units, and thereby plunging Nigerians into untold hardship. What we should do is, let's take away what we call the Constitution of Nigeria and come together as a people through a confab and come out with a constitution that reflects our present situation. Thereby, that thing that we're looking for, true federalism, will have its way.
Okay, now, what do you say about the federal government giving the local government allocations, yet the state, they can't control it, and the state still has to do something? Does it mean that, when they give it again to them, they'll be able to manage it?
Your first question has answered that question already. We are still talking about the same thing. Okay. We are still, if I want to go through it again, I will still be turning within the same cycles. Because, like I said, how would we have 3 tiers of government? The executive, the federal, the state, and the local government.
All right, just a moment, let's take a call.
Right.
Hello? Hello, good evening. All right, so we lost that. We'll just go ahead.
Yes. How will we have 3 tiers of government in the constitution? The federal, state, and the local government. But in practice, we are only having 2. Where is that authority that has been embedded at the local government level by the constitution? You cannot see it. We need to throw away that piece of paper we call the Constitution of Nigeria and bring up a working document. Because what we have at the local government system, we have a faceless government, a government that does not have their own powers, a government that is not independent, a government that cannot do anything because they are virtually at the mercy of the governor. What the governor throws on the table is what they pick. This is not what's supposed to be. Before now, the independence of the local government was guaranteed.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good evening. Thanks for joining us.
It's the Bauchi caller that come back again. I learned that you are speaking with regards to this local government issue.
Okay, go ahead.
Actually, this issue is a very interesting one to Nigeria. In fact, if we can be careful to look at our present predicament, we can understand that this issue is one of the most pressing issues in this country that is taking us backward. Because back then, during Obasanjo days, if you look at how local government were run when they were giving their money, problems in the country. And of sudden, we don't know when did they change this and take us to this present predicament. So we are calling on our politicians to bear with Nigerians and do what is right for the citizens of this country so that at least we can have a good air to breathe in. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you for that comment. Oh, go ahead.
Please, I want to thank the last caller.
Okay.
Yes. Because if we do not guarantee the autonomy of the local government, then let us just take it out. Let's know that all we have is the federal government and the state government.
All right, let's just take this one call. Hello, good evening. Good evening, can you hear us? All right, well, just go ahead. I'm sorry about that.
So the local government really, in fact, what we have now, we don't have the local government. That's what I keep telling people. We do not have the local government.
So we'll have just the state and
we have
the
just
federal.
the state, because the state now detects what happened at the local government level. I know for sure that the Constitution provides that the House of Assembly shall make law for the good governance of the local government.
All right, just to wrap this up, I'm sorry we've got just 3 minutes before the show ends. Now, trust me, people are going to run to the polls or to the courts immediately after the polls. Now, there is need for impartial judgment. And how does the judiciary, you know, you've said a whole lot, and right now we hardly get justice or equity from the court. Now, we hope that after the polls, some people may not like the judgment given to them by INEC. They will definitely run to the court. Now, there is need for that impartial judgment. How do the judiciary, how do they hope to go about this?
Thank you very much.
That's in just a minute.
Let me say this as an arbiter. We really need to sanitize the judiciary. The judiciary needs total overhaul. But I don't know how that would be possible, because since people have grown and have seen themselves as having been above the law, there are certain peoples in this country that have seen themselves as being above the law. Maybe because of the people who are supporting them, or because of the superhuman connection that they have. So that would be a bit
superhuman
difficult.
Connection,
yes, that would be a bit difficult. Superhuman connection that, you know, for example, just yesterday again, a federal high court in Abuja ordered a bench warrant for the EFCC boss. That is the second time. The first time, the second time. And the court had already, sometimes last year, issued a bench warrant to the IG. The question is, have any of these persons been arrested and taken to prison custody? Have they packed their bags to Kirikiri prison? No.
All right, thank you so much, Barrister Martins. I wish we could do this over and over and over again, but let's reschedule for another day. Thank you so much to all the callers and all the people viewing. I'm sorry, Isaac from Akwa Ibom, we couldn't get your questions. I hope that you join us tomorrow. While this program continues tomorrow, and thank you so much, Barrister Martins, for being a part of this program.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you once again for staying glued to your TV, Spectrum Television. We hope that you follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, SpectrumTv.ng. That's a close of the program, The Law, the People, and the Governance. My name is Rachel David White. Good evening.